In this video, we're going to explore some of the requirements for photosynthesis and examine some of the factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis. The first thing that plants need is light, and obviously without light we can't have the light-dependent reaction, so it would be a problem if there wasn't enough light for photosynthesis. And a way to prove that you would need light for photosynthesis, you could put one plant in the light and place one in the dark, and then after some time you could test the leaves for the presence of starch. And the one that had been left in the dark will have used up all its starch stores because it wouldn't have been able to perform photosynthesis. So a starch test is always a good test to find out whether or not photosynthesis has been taking place. But if we take a look directly at the increasing light intensity and the rate of photosynthesis, every plant has a maximum light intensity of light it can use for photosynthesis. But if you increase light intensity from like 0 light, it will increase the rate of photosynthesis until gradually it plateaus off. And at that point, no more increase in light will help the plant. Plants also need carbon dioxide because, again, during carbon fixation, the plant will use the carbon dioxides and reduce them to become sugar molecules. And to prove that carbon dioxide is needed, you could cover 2 plants with a transparent bag, each of them. In one of the bags, you could put a beaker of lime or calcium hydroxide to absorb any of the carbon dioxide from the air around it. And then the next day, the plant with the beaker of lime would have no starch in the leaves because, it would have used up all the starch stores, so no photosynthesis would have been able to occur. Now, if you take a look at increasing carbon dioxide concentration, from 0, obviously there's no photosynthesis, but as you increase the concentration of carbon dioxide, you're increasing the rate of photosynthesis until, again, it reaches that maximum point and it will just plateau. So increasing the carbon dioxide levels isn't going to harm the plant, but it is going to not help the plant either. So like any enzymes, the enzymes involved in photosynthesis have optimal temperature ranges in which they're effective. So the rate of photosynthesis will decline out of those points. So at low temperatures, the rate of photosynthesis would be low, and then as you raise the temperature towards the optimum, it'll increase. But if it gets beyond that optimum point, then any higher temperature will actually decrease the rate of photosynthesis. So now we're going to talk about what happens if the temperature gets too hot. Plants do have some strategies to protect themselves from losing too much water, but it actually can cause problems with photosynthesis because of that strategy. So if it's hot or dry, plants will close their stomata on their leaves to prevent water loss through transpiration, but that will lead to decreased carbon dioxide and increased oxygen in the cells of the plant. What will happen is a process known as photorespiration. And in photorespiration, oxygen competes with carbon dioxide for the binding site of rubisco, which is the enzyme in the Calvin cycle. So if more oxygen is present, it will bind to rubisco instead of carbon dioxide, and the result, fewer sugars will be made. And the reason is that 1 PGA and 1 glycolate molecule will be made for every RUBP instead of producing 2 PGAs per RUBP. So photorespiration occurs at 30 degrees Celsius and above. So C3 plants haven't adapted to avoid photorespiration, so they can actually lose up to half of the carbon they fix to photorespiration when temperatures are high. And this is because either carbon dioxide or oxygen will bind. And C3 plants will do best in cool, moist environments. So some examples of C3 plants are soybeans and sunflowers. C4 plants absorb carbon dioxide when the stomata are open, and then they store it in special structures called bundle sheath cells that are found in the mesophyll of the leaf. CO2 gets joined to a 3-carbon molecule to form a molecule of malate, which is a 4-carbon molecule. So you can see that that's happening in the mesophyll. And as it is needed, carbon dioxide will then be released to begin the Calvin cycle. So basically, C4 plants have found a way to store up carbon dioxide so that if they do have to close their stomata, there's carbon dioxide ready to be released. So we find C4 plants in hot, dry environments. So some good examples of C4 plants are sugarcane and corn. The final plant strategy are CAM plants. So they close their stomata during the daytime and open them at nighttime to prevent water loss. So the carbon dioxide enters the stomata at nighttime and it gets absorbed and it's converted into an organic acid and stored in the vacuoles of the plant. And in the daytime, that organic acid will release the carbon dioxide again, and then it can enter the Calvin cycle to produce sugars. And CAM plants are found in hot, dry, desert environments. So examples would be water storing plants such as succulents like aloe and pineapples and cacti.